point of interest for build. Hi VR guys, we are also here on the POI4Build, the third part. The third part is all about setting the cooler right, the power supply right, the motherboard, all pieces together. 1080 Ti and respectively the X299, the motherboard, the Intel chipset that goes with i7 X series 7820. Now let's start it. Hi Ahmed, how are you? Nice to hear you. Okay, let's start. First of all, I want to show you guys something. That is the backend side of the motherboard. That part. Normally, the other series, LGA, that one is LGA 2066, but nevertheless, other LGAs need that plastic support for the Hydro series 150i Pro RGB. But in that case, that with the Intel chipset X299, and that processor doesn't need that. Anyway, they are also it's already set the protection, and you don't need that part if you're wondering for what is used for. Now the chip itself and the RAM memory, the 2666 megahertz I already installed over there, and they are Crosshair Vegan's LPX version, the high performance DDR4. The chipset is over here, the Intel chipset X299. You probably can see also the box over here. We are ready. Twine Turbo N.2 is already installed over here, and that one is 512 from Samsung 970 Pro series. That goes right on the third slot. That is available here, right on the third point of that slot. That also means that PCI Express, that one and that one are not available for you. Actually, the SSD M.2 is already used. When you buy a SLI version, then you have the reinforcement over here, and you can actually install one card here and the other here. One additional, the third one could be installed here, but pay attention on the PCI Express 4, 16 and 8. Read your motherboard instruction, and you will see that those tools are actually perfect for SLI mode. Nevertheless, the actual mask I already installed it over here. I will now put the motherboard inside. It goes slightly under the actual point where all the connections are, and it will slide nice and easily. Pay attention along the way that all the actual holes are perfectly inside. We'll set that. You can do that already on the case. We are using the Coolmaster Half XB Evo, the Lambox version, and the power supply from the Avega Supernova 1600 G2. That part is actually part of the case itself. It goes like this to hold your power supply. Our power supply is a little bit longer when you put the cables for the motherboard, and pay attention to put all the cables on the left hand side to have the easy access on the motherboard over here. I will turn it around that you can actually see it. That is for the motherboard. It goes like that. And when we install the radiator from the Crosshair 115 Pro RGB, it will goes over here, but the cables will be around that one. Just put it slightly like that, and you have actually here already preset the guides for the cable management. Then you have something like that that is nice and easy to that looks good, and also is already like the measurements are perfect. That goes directly on the side from the power supply. Like we mentioned in the videos before, the power supply in this case is really overdimensioned to reach the high performance and avoiding the rising of the temperature that could affect our performance and overall, and to deliver the just amount of the energy. Now, when you can actually imagine that all the cable management will go around, and we will use the stickers. Use the stickers to hold them. There are some over there. Those ones are actually already provided from the power supply, the Avega Supernova 1600, the G2 series, and you can actually use one of those for a lot of cables, and the other ones that are provided with the motherboard, like plastic stripes, you can actually hold and tight all the cables. Now, let me see where I actually put those. Here are the stripes that are provided from the motherboard, that are provided actually from the case from Coolmaster, those ones, and the sliders for the 3.5 drives that could go also on the SSD holder, and then you just slide the hard disk or SSD disk. Sorry, SSD disk on the right hand side. Now we will put that to match perfectly, something like that. Then fix the middle part of the case. You see, all the screws are actually not in the way of the cable management, and that is really nice, because the intention and the reason why actually I'm doing this build with this case, that is easy to access the elements, to change the elements, and to clean the elements. You will see after 1 year that you're actually using the power supply, that you should sometimes you should sometimes clean the filter that is going to be over here. That filter, it will be nasty because the power supply inflate the air, and that one will stop at least the most amount of the dirty hairs or in general dirty, and just a few microns wide dust will go through it. It will inflate in case, but our ventilators will spit it out. Also, the blower edition that we have over there, the GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, will blow that dust outside. It will make a negative pressure. That one, the power supply will make the positive pressure in the case, and the blower will make a negative pressure. That means that the circulation of the air will go like that inside, and then from all the radiator and ventilator from the uh, Coolmaster case, we will have that direction over here, and on the back and side where the graphic cards goes, those that air, that a little bit dusty air will goes outside. But nevertheless, after 1 year, it is really good to clean the parts, and like you see, all the elements are pretty accessible from all the sides. Now we'll put that back over here, and like I mentioned, because our case is a little bit overdimensioned, that part will stick around 1 centimeter or so from the case. But we have with the Hydro series, they provide a lot of screws that are actually long enough to hold that piece of metal with the case, and then we will screw it. I will leave it here just for now, or actually we will remove it, because we need all the cables for the graphic card and for the motherboard. And now I will put some of them that you have some major idea how it will goes. That case is really nice from Vega. Have those cables. The let me put the light here. This cable, the VGA, they are provided actually with 9 of them, because the G2 series support 9 of them. and we will see those something like that. Let me put the coffee away. Now those two, actually one little bit more, something like that. Now that is for the radiator. For the part that goes on the processor is actually the power supply. Those we will need then after. For the SSD, let me put those aside. Then stripes, something like that. Then after, nevertheless, always bring with you the manual instructions. SLI Plus X99 299 chipset, and the screws that actually goes with the processor 7820 X series. There are, you will identify them. They will look something like that. The bottom part that will be screwed on the processor is a little bit shorter, and the part where the water cooling is going, it's a little bit longer. Those are for us. Up that one, and then after, let me put aside those four, a little bit of screws, and that one, and for the case. Then after, we will close the water cooling with those ones. Let me put here, or something over here. All that you actually don't need, put away. In the plastic bag. For other processors, you never know when you actually, if you actually will install something, some other processor, some other motherboard in the future. Put aside. Those are for SATA, and the power supply for the for one of the blower edition 1080i graphics cards, NVIDIA GeForce GTX, and now we are sorting the SATA with SATA cable, SATA power supply. There are really good label on each part. There are actually the label and the actual data transfer and the power supply. Those one are more SATA. We have one of them. Then we will store aside that one. Okay, that is the power supply, and the, yeah, three of them put aside. For the motherboard. Now we are good to go with the cables for blower edition, and those that are excessive here we will use later. Yeah, some of them. Okay, power supply. Now those parts are like yeah, valuable connectors that are actually used for double the power and more cables, more VGA, and those for the yeah, the 4 screws for the power supply itself, and we'll bring back those that we are going to use in POI4 mining. But for now, in POI4Build, for video editing and gaming, we need just some of them. I have actually all what I need. And let me see here. The SATA cable I have it over here. But yes, it's over here. SATA Perry over here. Those. But okay. We'll stick with those. All that you need put aside, and the rest on the part. Other manuals are also very important to read all of them, and to be prepared when you actually make a build, and to be sure what for which case is used. Those instructions for water cooling are just good enough till the point 4, how you can actually open all parts and put the processor inside. They are real easy. The part 1 is actually to open the left hand side, the right hand side, and then you have like a lifter over here, one plastic. You remove that plastic and then stick with the tool, with slider 2, and with actually here on the picture, the slider 1, stick one part of the processor, then bring to the end the actual pull, turn over the other pull, and then you have a picture like that. That part is the protective plastic that you will remove, and your processor will be inside. Then after you just need to, if you have a fan version, install the fan and the power supply for the fan. But in this case, we will continue with the manuals for H1 150i and Pro series. Additional for iCore, the X series. Those are really just there are some of the installation instructions. 3-year limited warranty, and inside logo label and so on, the warranty instructions, limited warranty, why they are limited, and so on. Repair the product or replace it a new or recondition product, or refund its value at the time of the warranty claim, and so on. but actually you are just interested in those builds. If you are not provided on the or water cooling system, they are also provided here on this section for the processor. Same story, you put at the end away the plastic part, your processor then is inside, and the operations goes left hand side first, the first part, second part, to lower uh, that beam, and then stick here that metal part to the actual base of the processor or near the base. It will pull down the processor, all the pins that are actually sliding in. Uh, they hold them and then make it fixed. On the other side is just a double of the security that the processor goes nowhere. Uh, so that part is installed. Now, now let's rock. I'll put like that, and the actual mm, we'll screw the middle part to the end. Use the rest of the screws. They are actually providing us something like 20 screws that are in case if you lost some of them or you need for some other build and so on. They are generous on those, but those ones you must pay attention to actually have the right count. All the other that goes for the motherboard that I actually explained in video 2, and the, and anyway they provided a right amount plus some extras for us. So now the radiator, I decided to use the pull version to pull the heat from the radiator to simulate the negative pressure on the radiator. Those fans on the case will actually put the positive pressure, and the resistance of the radiator will dictate how much of the performance on cooling performance we are gaining with two sides of the ventilator of the fans. Just that you know, uh, we will achieve 1 degree at maximum, 1 degree, 1.5 at best case, but we will have one radiator that is actually very clean, and after 1 year then we will see what are the results. I expect here that is built some of the dust, but on the other side that actually all the dust is already pulled out or spit out. And also those plastics are actually preventing that you accidentally or that some cable accidentally goes in the ventilator. Uh, or yeah, I see just the advantages in that case. Those cables that are over, I put it like that because uh, they can reach the pins for the fans, and also they are not in the way from other cables. if I put on the side, on the bottom, it's perfect, but because of the length of the cable, then they stick around. Then you should you should pay attention about the cable management, because lots of parts are there, uh, uh, are installed uh, inside in the middle tire, and the cable management is over here on the sides. Then you can potentially have a nice and easy lines to stick all the things together without many problems. But if you have situations like that, on the motherboard on left hand side are the actual fan pins, then the better way is to put on the bottom. Let me see what is our situation here. The fan pins are here. Then could be a good reason to actually do it immediately. Just I will measure it before I do it. It will install or something like that. Why on this part this time? Because here we will install two GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, and I don't want that they affect with the heat from them that affect our water cooling system. Those should be always separated, and 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 just make a right cable management around it. But like you see, it's already perfect. Let's go directly to the processor. Uh, we don't have some major issue here for the cable management, and yeah, that is just the right way. When you have a tower that is vertically oriented, then the situation is on the other side, because, or actually, when it's that position could be placed always on the right hand side where is the processor, or if you install from above, then the position you see from the orientation where is the best place. But if you follow the uh, right hand side logic, then the rotation is always anti-clockwise. Then you have always on the right hand side the cables for the water cooling, and then you turn it like that, it's always on the clockwise side. Then after you can see it like left hand side, but if you are doing the full trip, the complete 360-degree turn in a cycle, it's always on the right hand side. Uh, Now, those cables could go here and after down, or from the bottom here. Then it's better from the bottom here to avoid that are sticking around together. Something like that to avoid. Yeah, actually, it's better so. Just put aside. I hope that you enjoy actually the build like I do, because those things, yeah, you are not actually doing every day. And if you pay attention on the how it looks, how should the cable management goes, then you you will provide to you one good service, but also for your colleagues, for your family members, and so on. And that is really nice that you have someone that is handy around you that could help you in any case. And of course, do it if you feel that it's something for you. And in any case, if you have some of the interest to learn how to build one computer. In the video 2, we had a discussion if the positive or negative pressure in the case is better. Actually, the combination of two is the perfect case, because one will inflate uh, the air and make a positive pressure, and the other will deflate and make a negative pressure. That means that you will have one constant flow from the bottom, the inflate from the back side where the actual graphic cards are. They are blower addition. They will blow the wind away and create that necessary negative pressure to have the air circulation. Uh, those are installed. Just let me see if that is perfect. Yeah, don't put any pressure, just double check it. And the last part is the let me see if I have some place here. So something like that. Those will store on the side, something like that. Then after we'll need all the screws. I like to sort them in the order and to wait any frustration. Then after where they actually uh, are stored, or if I miss some parts. Because like I said, those ones are especially important because you will see the right amount. All other screws, like those ones, etc., you sort them like in groups where they are belonging, based of the size. For 3.5 drives, or screwing around uh, the the hot swap part, or the little motherboard that are in the case for the SATA cables and so on, because that case have actually the half XB Evo had actually two hot swap parts, and they are also screwed with those. Like those will be necessary for the power supply, because it's a little bit longer than all other, let's say, normal power supplies. And like you can see, when you install the ATX, and you have to install the base with those. It goes in the middle tire with those gold parts, and you have like a shim on the middle tire where you can uh, where you should put those, but nevertheless they provide you for all types of the motherboards. Then those three will remain like additional screws that you can use later for some other build. Uh, those goes here, then after those, and we'll save for those. And I was always wondering for what is that one, but we will discover together. It's live. It's not one. It's not the material that is reworked. That is like bad part of the live demo, but I like it that way because we are learning the stuff together. Those are additional screws. Put it like that, and the last one goes here. That one here. And then pretty nice and easy. Now here. And seems to be it. So those uh, for the water cooling system, we can also put over here. And so I don't know. Yeah, actually, let's see. I'll put something like that. Those belong here. And those here. Okay. And then and as you can expect, for where come those screws from the ventilator that actually provide the crosshair in the water cooling system, and that's why we'll have we have on this position so many other for all possible combination and installation. Installation purposes, yeah, that one like we said here. Check your radiator like I explained in video number 1. It could be damaged, but if you don't know what you're actually doing or what you should do with those, how to repair them, then leave it like it is. They're very sensitive, the radiators, the actual membrane inside. Okay. You can now put some pressure because you are making the right thing when you're doing the diagonal side. And then the rest of two of them on the last part, it will just fit. So perfect. Then those ones are little ones. Those ones we actually need to screw them here, but from the outside of the case to reach the radiator. If you want, you can also put one of those before you install it, but pay attention how many millimeters you have till to the radiator. We will stick without them because those screws actually have a round head and provide that extra surface to protect the outside of the motherboard. Now we'll see how it goes. I'll put that so. Yeah, it will be enough. Yes, something like that. Then, so ah, that is perfect. So now you can, for the moment, put aside those two, but pay attention to actually hold the radiator while installing to avoid damaging on the motherboard or some other parts. Something like that. We'll try to find the perfect match. And also, pay attention on one more side. They put actually those cables for the external fans. They put them like in the way of the radiator. Then it's always better to use some other hose, something like that, to actually avoid that the cables are over those wires. That the radiator it's not on the way on the wires. Two reasons: you can damage the cable itself, the wire itself, and the other, just the when you are screwing the radiator, it will not make a pressure on the actual screw because of the wire, and we'll do it immediately. So remove it. So, and then just use the other hole for your cable management. Yeah, it goes perfectly. We will check also the external mask if it go, if that is not on the way. Just double checking. We can put them over here. Oh, it's perfect. The actual whole part is here empty, and we'll have no problems if we are going through the hose. That is perfect. Same story here. Just you have more place here to play around. And like I said, the case is really, really nice and manageable. You can access from all the parts. That is not the case with some tower version of the case. Put that aside. Something like that. And through the hole. So yeah. I'll always leave that protect plastic on the bottom till I'm not finished with the story, with the installation. Yeah, that is now perfect. I can show you actually of this side, but it's not something that you can do it yourself. So screw. Yes, the first is right over here. Then we will install the second one for the. Now you see why it's important that all the screws are nice in place, because you will have a lot of trouble to find the right one when you need them. Same story as a cable management. Then after is all easy when the cables are not crossing each other. It's very easy to change the graphic card if you have some problems, or processor, or and so on. Those ones. It looks like that. Those 4 screws are in. Then after the precaution ones in the middle, install just for them. It will be okay. But if you need to transport the case, nevertheless, it's always good to screw all of them. And always use magnetic tools. The actual screwer, it will help you to install nice and easy also the parts that are not so reachable at any given point in time or place. Now, uh, I need one more, and they provided in the one additional bag in the power supply Vega Supernova 1600 V2. They provide additional 4 screws if you don't have any left. Uh, just to remember, those you have just always the right amount. Uh, uh, you can use it to screw the part of the power supply right on the head of the case, because have like one little cage on it, but the cage itself will stick to the case. In that matter, I don't know how it's relevant or not to have both of them. Then it's really fixed all together. But because our power supply is so big, it will just stay perfect on the place, because there is no room for movement for the actual power supply. But we will leave them for the power supply, the last of them, and then we will see which of them are actually uh, available for us for continue, or we should stick with one other bag of the screws. But for now, we will just use what they provided to us and see if that is enough or we need some more. Just for your information, and uh, we'll put a little bit under. Okay, that will be enough. Now, those are perfectly installed. There are 6 of them, and it's more than enough. Now, the last part is the actual installation of the head of the water cooling. We'll start again with the screws for the base, those ones. Like I said, for the X series, the 7820 goes with those, where actual one part is little bit shorter and the other part a little bit longer. The shorter part goes on the bottom, and you leave the upper side that stick out a little bit longer for the actual cooler. Uh, those holes on the sides are the ones that you are using for the water cooling system, the hydro series. It's enough your pressure that you are building up, uh, that you are building actually with your hand. Then after remove that plastic, and now the thermal insulation is already on the bottom. The thermal conductivity paste is already on the bottom. You just need to make it perfect. Remove that part. You see it? Yes. Plastic protection from the last checks on the processor. If the dust is away, to leave the surface that is nice and clean. With the hand is not the perfect, but I see that everything here is clean. And now the actual installation. It sits just perfectly, like you see on the processor. Put some pressure equal on the sides, just a little bit, not to break something, that actually the paste stick to the processor, and because that thermal contact for the heat dissipation is very important. Stick a little bit and then immediately have to screw it. That's why those uh, longer parts are upstairs, because they should hold, they should be held with those big screws. Don't leave your hand from the from the cooling device, from the water device, because you want to install those screws perfectly evenly on the surface that are touching the processor. Seems something that is not so important, but in overall test I saw that every time then I'm doing something like that, trying to reach the perfect level, then actually the cooling shows better results for obvious reasons. Now that you have diagram installed, you can proceed with the other one and start actually seeing where is the level. You will feel it under your fingers, where actually goes the water head. Now you can leave the processor because all the 4 screws are inside. It looks something like that. And those 4s actually now you can try to put some pressure on them and just try to go side by side, right, left hand side, right, left, until everything is like perfectly leveled. You can go further and and measure it actually with some of the leveling tools. I have one, but that surface should be perfectly with the processor. You can go diagonally out also. You can go diagonally one more time, and on that part, if your hands are strong enough, you don't actually need a screw. You can just double check it in some case, and that is the bottom, but avoid any too much pressures that could crack something. They have a really good job to make those plates so flexible that actually when you are also screwing till to the bottom, they will just stick elastically to the downside, and you will have no problem with them. But in any case, try to do it side by side, diagonally on the first run. First diagonal, second one, then parallel, then one more time, like an X sign, and the level will be perfect. Now, those ones are actually for the RGB, and that one should be, yeah, a power supply. Uh, uh, Actually, the power supply from SETA will goes here and give a power to the state. Here will regulate the temperature reader uh, that will stick in the motherboard to measure what's going on with the system, how it cools, how is actually affecting the dissipation the temperature from the processor and overall temperature status. Uh, the details we'll see in the BIOS, then after in programs that will actually read those information and make some report. Now, cable management for those ventilators, always the same story. Goes around till the fan and so on. Now, let's put that in practice, how it looks like. We can use those ones and then jump around, or from the inside. We'll try to go from the inside, if that makes sense, and then finish our build with really the cable management. But first things first, let's see how it looks with the graphic cards to decide what is the perfect match. It goes very well, I thank you. uh, uh, what is actually the perfect match for the cable management, and then after we will actually turn the device on and see those RGB colors on the cooling Hydro series from Crosshair, and how the overall performance goes, and also if it is nice or not. Anyway, we're starting with the graphic card. Um, hmm. One part that I'm concerned is the jumpers that actually will be used uh, for additional USBs, SATA cables, and so on. Probably is a good way to analyze uh, where all the cables goes, and then after decide what we are going to do with the power, with the cable management, and with the power supply that are already designated for more cars, for more uh, for more VGA cards, um, PCI Express cards, and for more graphic cards, and how it could uh, and how could be the actual be actual how could the actual build could be extended. And thinking out loud, yeah, uh, if you want to extend the build and have more graphics card, it's already good to think about how it goes in the future, and uh, at the end be satisfied with the cable management, because with two cards they are already uh, like occupying all the place here, and then after we don't have any room for changes we can in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button. I love you all. Good night.